Can't believe how close Election Day is. Yeah, Election Day. The countdown is on, and from now until November 5th, we're hearing from Maine candidates running for major office. That includes Independent Senator Angus King's seat.
We've already heard from Democratic candidate David Costello, and coming up next Wednesday, we'll be speaking with Senator King right here on ARC Maine.
Today we're joined by Republican candidate Demi Kouzounas. Thanks for joining ARC Maine for us this morning. And first of all, tell us why you're running for office and what makes you think you're the right person for this job and not Angus King.
Sure. I think our country is going down a difficult path. Cost of living is high, borders open, health care is going to become an issue, fentanyl addiction. And I have the background that, hopefully can make the difference. I'm a dentist, so I'm in health care and have done a lot of volunteer work. I'm also a veteran, having served in Germany from 81 to 84. I'm a Mainer, mother, grandmother, and us women, we're problem solvers, and we think we can make a difference. And I just think that change is good, it's healthy, and I think it's very healthy in politics. So I did throw my hat into this race, and I'm thinking that if I'm blessed to be able to go down in Washington, I'm going to stand strong and hopefully represent all Mainers in the state to make a difference and make their lives a little bit easier with the inflation the way it's going.
It's fair to say you face an uphill challenge with Senator Angus King serving since 2013. Why do you think a change is needed, and what makes you think you could really win next month?
Well, he is the 6th oldest senator in the country. He'll be 81 almost by the time he takes office, in 87. And I think we're not seeing change happening at this point. And we're seeing things during his period of time serving in the Senate just have things get worse. And so I think that if I go in there with new, fresh ideas and some, basically representing my state, understanding my state through the health care, because of veterans, because of addiction and mental health, I think I can bring my perspective into Washington, D.C.
Yeah, one of the big issues in Maine and across the country, of course, is the cost of living. What action would you take to maybe bring inflation down even more and ease the financial strain that so many Americans and Mainers are having right now?
Yeah, there's a lot of things. First of all, for people on Social Security and Medicare, the cost of living adjustments, COLA, has not kept up. And in this year, it's only going to be 2.5% increase. So in the last four and a half years, we're talking about 12%, where inflation's been more closer to 20. Inflation has also taken a huge bite of because of the interest rates. A lot of people live on the credit cards, and that means that they have to pay that back. I think, we've seen businesses close now because they can't afford the sustained increase of cost, the goods that they have to buy. Wages. So all of these things are going to play a big role in the state of Maine. And then again, healthcare plays a huge role too.
Mainers have felt the impact of climate change in recent years, with many communities impacted by storms. Do you believe our actions impact climate change? And if so, what do you think you should do to address the problem in Maine?
Climate change is a huge problem, and it's a very global problem. It's not a Maine problem. It's the world problem. We've done our part, I think, in America and the EU. USA and EU have been able to lower, carbon emissions by 10 to 15%. You know who has it? China. And China, Xi Jinping had said he was going to lower it down by 1%. But after 2023 came along, and he did not even do 1%. So now he's promising 1% in 2024. So we can do what we want here in America. And Mainers, I think we've all done our part here in Maine because we're treed for one thing, and we know 6 mature trees eat up CO2. We should not be cutting trees to try to put other things up. We have really a natural resource that eats up CO2. But China and India are just polluting like crazy. We have to put pressure on these countries to stop the polluting.
It's been, of course, almost a year since October 25th, a week from tomorrow, by the way. As we reported this week, those affected are still pushing for answers. There's also been calls to readdress gun control measures, like maybe even a red flag law. What do you think needs to be done to try to prevent another tragedy like Lewiston?
Yeah, everybody's looking for answers, and everybody's pointing the fingers. I can tell you that if we had another situation like that, our EMS system, because I talked to some of the folks yesterday up in Mexico, Maine, they're not prepared. for another scenario. We haven't sat down and looked at what we did right and wrong in that situation. Second of all, most deaths due to gun violence is with handguns and not rifles. We had a man who was obviously mentally ill. He was only kept in a mental hospital in New York for 2.5 weeks, which was never enough. He was hearing voices. They had a red flag law. They didn't take his weapons away in New York. Then he comes to Maine, and the yellow flag law should have taken his weapons away, but did not. So we can add more and more bills to our books, but if we don't follow our own laws, there's no point in adding another one in. And finally, the state of Maine, there are many towns that do not even have police. So, I know one town up in northern Maine that from 11 o'clock at night to 7 o'clock in the morning, there is no law enforcement there. So you're asking people to give up their weapons, if you will, but yet we're not there to protect them either.
On the international stage, President Biden is heading to Europe today to discuss the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. It's also been announced a new $425 million aid package for Ukraine. Would you support continuing to help Ukraine in its fight against Russia?
Well, I'm a veteran. I served in Germany. It was during the period of time during the Cold War where Russia was our enemy at that time. And then we had the Beirut bombings, and I was there in Europe during that period of time. I think peace through strength is very important. I do think we should support Ukraine, but I want to see more transparency, and I want to see a plan on exiting this war. Endless wars is not, I think, what most veterans think we should be doing. We need to understand what's the plan here. How are we going to beat Russia? How are we going to win the borders back for Ukraine? And I think we need more answers to all this funding going over there.
If you were elected, what would your priorities be once in office, and would you be working right away and willing to reach across the aisle? We've had Angus King, Susan Collins, a lot of them to really reach across the aisle, independent thinking at times. How about for you?
Well, Senator Collins does reach across the aisle, and her voting shows she votes about 80–85% with the Republicans, but she reaches over. Angus King, on the other hand, who says he's an independent, votes 98.5% of the time with the Democrats, so he does not reach the aisle. None of his bills and what he's done in the past has actually done that at all. I plan to be more of a Senator Susan Collins, which is I want to affect change, I want to help Mainers, and I'll do what it needs to be. I believe in term limits, so I plan on only serving 2 terms if elected, and so I won't be sitting back hoping that my vote won't anger somebody or alienate somebody or not get me elected next time around. I want to go there to serve, and after 2 terms leave.
How about when it comes to the big race on November 5th? Do you think you could work with either Kamala Harris or Donald Trump effectively?
100%. Again, I'm not there to be president. I'm there to represent the state of Maine, and my constituents are the state of Maine.
And finally, what's your final message to Mainers out there? They're undecided, not sure who they're going to vote for, that are watching here this morning.
I would say to all Mainers, do you think the country is going in the right direction? Are you happy with your economic situation? Do you just think we keep on voting the same people in, expecting change, which is not the way we should be voting? If you want change, if you want a woman representing you, if you want healthcare issues to be addressed, if you want mental health and addiction to be addressed, if you want inflation to be lowered, vote for me. I think we're, as women, underrepresented in this country. There's only 25 women senators in this country, where the voting population is over 50% for us women. So I think I can problem solve better, bring a different mantra to Washington, D.C. as a veteran, a woman veteran, as a mother and grandmother of 3 beautiful little granddaughters, as a health care provider, and as somebody who's done a lot of volunteer work and access to care issues throughout the state of Maine.
Demi Kouzounas, thank you so much for your time this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Good luck in the election coming up.
Thank you.